All right, so today we're diving into a really unique spiritual worldview, one that comes from the Brahma Kumaris organization. We're going to neutrally unpack its core ideas, the problems it sees in the world, and the incredible transformation it promises. Let's get right into it. So this quote right here, it's really the heart of everything we're going to talk about. It sets up this powerful metaphor that shapes the entire spiritual journey. You've got this amazing ideal, the king of flowers, and you've got the one thing standing in the way, what it calls the stench of vices. Okay, first up, let's look at that ultimate goal. What in the world does it actually mean to become a king of flowers? Yeah, this is way more than just a nice poetic phrase. It represents the absolute highest state a soul can achieve. Imagine being so pure that you're like a perfect, fragrant flower. A being who's become so elevated that, like a deity in a temple, you're actually considered worthy of worship. That's the pinnacle, the end goal in this teaching. But, to really get why becoming a flower is such a big deal, we have to understand how this teaching sees the world right now. And it's not a garden. It's described as a forest of thorns. So check this out. The teaching basically splits all of time into two completely different eras. On one hand, you had Ram Raja, a golden age of total purity and peace, literally heaven on earth. But where we are now, that's Ravan Raja, a kingdom run by vice and sorrow. It's the night, full of blind devotion, versus the day, which was full of true knowledge. So, who is this Ravan that's supposedly ruling everything? Well, it's not some mythical demon with 10 heads, nope. In this context, Ravan, or Maya, is the personification of the 5 big vices. We're talking lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. And the teaching is crystal clear that lust is the great enemy, the main boss you have to defeat to become pure. So, how did things get so bad? The whole explanation boils down to this number, 84. The idea is that every soul goes through a massive cycle of 84 births. You start out in that golden age, totally pure, but over those 84 lifetimes, you lose that shine. You pick up karmic baggage and become impure, which is what's led us to today. And that brings us to a pretty intense diagnosis, stated just like this in the source material. It says the world we live in now is a world of sinners, because every person is now born through vice. This impurity is seen as the single root cause of every bit of suffering on the planet. Okay, so that's a pretty grim picture, right? The big question then is, how do you fix it? This brings us to the really practical how-to part of the teaching, the actual methods you're supposed to use to go from being a thorn back to being a flower. The absolute core practice is to become antarmukhi. You can think of it as becoming introverted in the most spiritual way possible. It's all about intentionally pulling your focus away from the outside world and even from your own body so you can connect with who you really are, a soul. So how do you actually do this? Well, it's a mental drill. And get this, it's meant to be done in a second. The idea is to practice this throughout your day, in those little gaps between your tasks, until you can hit a state of total inner stillness, almost like the physical world just fades away for a moment. Then there's the second key practice, which is really fascinating. It's called spinning the Swaddarshan chakra, or the discus of self-realization. And this is another powerful mental exercise. It means you reflect on your soul's entire story, from being pure to going through all 84 births, falling into impurity, and now having this chance to transform again. And why do this? What's the point? Well, according to the teaching, by constantly playing this cosmic movie in your head, you literally destroy what it calls demonic thoughts and all your negative habits. It's like a cleaning tool for your mind, using knowledge to wash everything away. To really make this practical, the teaching gives you 3 really cool analogies to hold in your mind. First, be like a tortoise, ready to pull your senses back into your shell in an instant. Second, be like a lotus. You live in the mud of the world, but you stay clean and untouched by it. And third, be like a beetle, which is a nod to an old belief that a beetle's buzzing could turn a worm into another beetle. a metaphor for helping transform other people with your pure spiritual energy. All right, so you do all this work, you practice being a tortoise, a lotus, a beetle. What's the payoff? What's the big reward for all this effort? Well, the teaching is very, very specific about what you get. It really all boils down to this one huge deal. The promise is that if your soul can somehow manage to stay completely pure and conquer all those vices for just this one last lifetime, right now, in this impure age, the reward is just immense. For that one pure life, you earn 21 future births in the new golden age, the new heaven on earth, a world of perfect purity, peace, and wealth, where, as the text points out, nobody dies in untimely death. And we're not just talking about a nice life. The status you're set to achieve is, well, it's off the charts. You become a master of the world, a double-crowned deity. You earn a spot in the Rosary of Victory, which is basically the VIP list of the most successful souls. And it all comes full circle. You become that being who is truly worthy of worship. And this all leads to a pretty dramatic finale for the world as we know it. The end result of this global transformation is the creation of one single, pure religion for the entire planet. The text states that this process includes the destruction of all the other religions that exist today, paving the way for one unified world. And that brings us to the end of our explainer. Now, obviously, these concepts are part of a very specific spiritual path, but they do leave us with a bigger question, one that we can all think about, no matter what we believe. In a world that so often feels like a forest of thorns, full of conflict and problems, what does it really mean for any of us to try and become a flower? Thanks for watching.